Hi, my little babies. Welcome back to another episode of What the Smut Book Reviews. Book Review. Vogue. Hi. My name is Candace and I'm your terrible host. Welcome back to another episode of What the Smut Book Reviews. The place where we discuss all things smutty, not all things, book things smutty, that have to have an HEA. Because if you recommend me a book with no HEA, you're dead to me. Okay, so in today's video, we will be discussing and breaking down, you guessed it, another JT Geissinger book. How did you figure it out? How did you know? Seriously, how did you know? Are you psychic? Are you? Are you psychic? In today's video, however, we'll be breaking down book 1 in JT Geissinger's slow burn series, which is called Burn for You. Yeah. And when she says slow burn, she means it. The spice in this book, there's no sex until like 85%. Maybe 80%, until like 80% in. You have to literally be invested in this story to get through this book. Which is fine, because she is a phenomenal writer, and I got invested in the story. So I didn't mind so much. However, if you can't get invested in the story, and you're looking only for the sex, full stop. You're at the wrong place. Maybe go skip over to another review. Maybe go skip over to maybe an Amo Jones review, or maybe one of her Mafia books. Maybe one of JT's Mafia books would do for you, because the spice starts pretty early in those. However, in this book, not so much. It's okay though, because it was still a really good book and it was cute. And obviously, I enjoyed it because I'm holding about $13 worth of trade paperback in my hands. So, there you go. There's your ringing endorsement. All right? I liked it enough that I paid money for the trade paperback. All right? So, this book, along with pretty much every JT Geissinger book, is free to read with KU. So if you have Kindle Unlimited, you have zero excuses. Go read these fucking books, okay? If you would like to purchase this book for your Kindle, you can do so for the price of $3.99. If you want to own this trade paperback that I'm holding in my hands right now, lovely, except for this top bit, which Amazon always fucks up. Always, without fail. The top and bottoms, they will fuck up. Okay. $12.95. This book is also available in audio. I would not recommend the audio. I'm sorry. I just can't, in good conscience, do it to you. It's nothing personal against JT. It's nothing personal against the narrators, to be honest. The male narrator was a little bit monotone for me. But aside from that, he was fine. The female narrator, her voice is pleasant to listen to. And her accent is lovely. However, she sounds identical. And when I say identical, I mean they could pass for twins. Identical to the woman who voiced Tiana in The Princess and the Frog. Is it Princess and the Frog? The Frog Princess? Whatever. The Disney movie? The Princess and the Frog? Yeah. Tiana? Yeah. So the entire time that I was listening to the audiobook, I was picturing her as a green frog. Because once I saw it, I could not unsee it in my mind. So, I would not recommend the audio for you. I would recommend that you read this on your Kindle or that you purchase the paperback. Okay, moving on. I'll read you guys a blurb and then we'll break it down as succinctly, big word, SAT word, we will break it down as succinctly as I can, okay? So, the blurb for this one states, it has like a tagline thing at the top that says, the marriage is fake, but for a sassy chef and an arrogant billionaire, the sparks are real. Jackson the Beast Boudreaux is rich, gorgeous, and unbelievably rude to the staff at Chef Bianca Hardwick's New Orleans restaurant. Bianca would sooner douse herself in hot sauce than cook for Jackson again. But when he asks her to cater his fundraiser, Bianca can't refuse, knowing the cash will help pay her mother's medical bills. Then Jackson makes her another outrageous request: marry me. The unconventional offer includes an enormous sum, money Bianca desperately needs, even if it does come with a contract, and a stunning ring. The heir to a family bourbon dynasty, Jackson knows the rumors swirling around him. The truth is even darker. Still, he needs a wife to secure his inheritance, and free-spirited, sassy Bianca would play the part beautifully. Soon, though, their simple business deal evolves into an emotional intimacy he's built walls to avoid. As the passion heats up between them, Bianca and Jackson struggle to define which feelings are real and which are for show. Is falling for your fake fiance the best happy ending, or a recipe for disaster? Okay. I didn't do the tongue thing this time. You're welcome. So, obviously, as you can see, the two main characters for this book are Bianca and Jackson. Bianca is a chef. She owns a restaurant in New Orleans, as the blurb states. Her restaurant is doing just fine. She is a very good chef. She's renowned. She's a renowned chef. However, she's not rich by any means. She cooks good old-fashioned Southern food, okay? And I had to put the slant on it there because if you don't understand what I'm saying, this takes place in New Orleans. You got to understand what I'm saying. She cooks that good old-fashioned Southern food, okay? Bianca is biracial. Her mother is, her mother's black, her dad was white. Her dad, I think, has passed away. And her mom used to own a restaurant as well. However, she had to retire, I think, because of health issues. Okay. And so her restaurant closed. And every time I say Bianca, I want to say Tiana instead. God damn it. Why can't I get it out of my brain? It's bothering me so much. Fuck. Okay, so Bianca. Bianca. So Jackson is a spoiled rich brat. Jackson is the heir to a bourbon dynasty. Both of his parents are still alive. However, his parents and their main distillery are located in Kentucky. He lives in New Orleans. He has basically not like disinherited himself because he still has money, but he's kind of fucked off from his entire family for personal reasons, which we'll get into. And he lives the life of a playboy, a billionaire playboy. And that's what he does in New Orleans. That's his life, period. He literally has no job. He has no job. He does nothing else with his time. He gallivants. That's it, period. He's been told by his parents that he has until his next birthday, which will be his 35th birthday, I think, to either get married or move back home to Kentucky and take over the running of the company and the distillery, which he swears he will not do. He never wants to return to Kentucky. There's too many bad memories for him there. So he needs a wife, right? So if he doesn't fulfill one of those two things, he will be disinherited and he will lose all of his money. He's basically written out of the will. He's out. You're donezos. Your trust is gone. Your trust fund's gone. You're penniless. So the book opens on Bianca in her restaurant, and Jackson is causing a ruckus. Jackson has come into the restaurant and wants to eat. There are no tables. Sorry, sir. We're all full. Don't you know who I am? No. But we're all full. I want to speak to your manager. Okay. But we're full. She's going to tell you the same thing I'm telling you. We're full. There's no tables for you. Well, I'm going to cause a big fucking stink about it because I'm a playboy who's got my head shoved up my own ass. Okay, cool. So he does. And he's making a big ruckus. And he demands to speak to the owner. So Bianca goes out. And she's like, what the F? Bianca has created, as the chef of this restaurant, has created an entire menu around his family's bourbon. So all of the dishes on the menu are not on the menu in general, but on the menu that she's created for like this little side menu, are made with or are made to complement his family, the Boudreaux bourbon of some kind. So he's come in here trying to throw his weight around, wants to eat, and she ain't having it. She's like, I don't care that your name's on the damn menu or not. Your father's name is on the menu. You ain't shit. So she doesn't take that lying down, right? She sits him at the bar, and finally a table opens up and he gets to sit down. He orders a ridiculous amount of food, literally like one of everything on the menu, just to be a dick. She comps his bill because she knows that it's a point of pride that he would want to pay. No, your bill is complimentary. Have a nice day, sir. And he gets pissed off. That pisses him off. So it's like tit for tat type situation. So after his little scene, he leaves. She goes home and she goes to check on her mom. Her mom has like a elderly gentleman, like a gentleman caller, right? Who's like a colonel, who used to be a colonel in the army. And he's like, I guess like her boyfriend who hangs around. And he's nice, he's cute. And something is up with her mom. There's something wrong with her. She's been to the doctor, which she tells Bianca that Bianca finds out basically that she's been diagnosed with stage 3 lung cancer. Her mother does not have any insurance. She has to pay out of pocket for everything. They want her to do rounds of chemo. They want her to do rounds of radiation. There's a surgery that's supposed to go in, to remove the tumor that's there. So she has all these medical expenses. And Bianca's restaurant has only been open for about 6 months. So she's already massively in debt. She's a good chef, and her restaurant is booming. But she's going to be in the red for a long time before she crawls out of the red into the black, right? So it turns out that Jackson's chef has recently quit. Why? Because he's a douchebag. Nobody wants to work with him or work for him. So there's a fundraiser coming up. Jackson's fundraiser. Jackson's hosting a fundraiser and that's coming up that he has no caterer for. So later on, he barges it back into her restaurant, orders all of her employees out of her own kitchen so that he can talk to her, offers her $20,000 to cater his fundraiser. She doesn't want to do it, but she agrees because she needs the money. Later on, she goes to his house to discuss the menu, where she runs into a little boy who's clearly not his son, doesn't look anything like him, but the little boy appears to have Down syndrome. He has like a nanny there who's taking care of him. But even though the little boy doesn't look anything like Jackson and doesn't appear to be actually Jackson's biological son, Jackson clearly loves the boy. It turns out the little boy is the son of Jackson's friend who was with him in the military and who was wounded and subsequently died. He has adopted the little boy and takes care of him, loves him like his own. So what started out as a one-dimensional asshole playboy is starting to turn into something more. So Jackson takes her back to her house, or drives her back home, where she runs into or sees her ex lurking around, waiting for her. Her ex cheated on her and is a piece of shit. But for some reason, he keeps trying to get back together with her, even though it's like one of those typical I want what I can't have type situations, where now that she's no longer interested in him because she dumped him and left him behind, now he's chomping at the bit to get her back. Okay, well, you should have thought about that when you were sticking your dick in other shit, right? So he's hanging around all the time. He just pops up randomly and he's constantly harassing her to take him back. This is one of those times. So she thinks it's a good idea to use Jackson to try and make him jealous, or to try and put a stop to this stalkery behavior. So her and Jackson share a very intense little smooch, which changes the dynamic of what's going on between them significantly. It's about around this time that Jackson's dad calls him, or it's around this time in the book that Jackson's dad calls him to give him the ultimatum that sets the tone for the book. And the ultimatum is that he has until his 35th birthday to either come home to Kentucky and run the distillery and take over the running of the company, or get married and grow the fuck up, or he loses his inheritance and he's cut off financially. He never wants to go home to Kentucky, ever. There's a lot of bad shit that happened to him there. However, he also doesn't want to get married. Who can he think of that might possibly enter into a sham marriage with him? For the money. For money. So naturally, he thinks of Bianca. She needs money. He can tell, because when he offered her that $20,000, she jumped at it with desperation. So he knows there's something else going on there that needs further investigation, right? So he goes to Bianca with a proposal. The deal is that I have to get married, but I can't just get married and then 5 minutes later get divorced. I have to stay married for 5 years in order to keep my money. He offers her $1 million to marry him and stay married to him for 5 years. She freaks out and she's like, fuck no, get out of here. Have you lost your mind? So she turns him down. Later on, she sees how much her mom's medical expenses are. The bills are piling up. The chemo alone, the rounds of chemo, she can't afford. She's not gonna be able to afford the chemo. She realizes that she has no choice. Either she does this or her mom will most likely die. So she agrees. And she tells him yes, she'll do it. He goes to her mother's house and meets with her mother, where he asks for her hand in marriage, which was very cute. That part of the book was very endearing. And by this time, it's clear that he's developing feelings for Bianca, real feelings. And that possibly this marriage of convenience is not just going to be a marriage of convenience. They start the process of moving her stuff from her house into his house, his big ass mansion. She gives up her apartment or her house. I can't remember if it's an apartment or a house. I think it's a house. And she moves all of her stuff into his house. They decide to go visit his parents in Kentucky so that they can meet her before they get married. So they do. They fly to Kentucky, where they're picked up by a driver and driven to the estate, because that's what it is. It is an estate, not a house, not a cottage, not a bungalow, not a townhouse, not a mansion. It is an estate with horses and gardens and guest homes and all other kinds of things and fountains and shit. An estate. Okay? They're driven to the estate. Jackson is by this time a nervous fucking wreck. He's on the verge of having a panic attack. Clearly, something happened here that he does not want to relive. And coming back here is fucking with him emotionally and mentally. Bianca's attempting to be like his grounding rock, and it's kind of working. She does soothe him, which is pretty apparent. And they get out of the car and they go in to see his parents. They meet with the parents, and the entire interaction is very forced, very awkward. At dinner is when they have their very forced interaction. And he gets very drunk at dinner, and they go upstairs and they argue. And then he tells her, literally, he purges his soul to her and tells her everything about why he hates being in Kentucky. Essentially how he was not an only child. He was actually a twin. And how his twin brother, Link, was, for all intents and purposes, the golden child. He could do no wrong. However, behind everyone's back, he was actually quite evil and demented towards Jackson. He would tell Jackson shit like he was adopted and that their parents got subsidy from the government or got paid by people to take care of him, and that he was a beggar, and that he was just a useless leech and should kill himself. Crazy shit like that. He would hurt Jackson behind their parents' back. He would do things to him. And anytime Jackson would go to their parents and complain, they would think that it was like an attention-seeking type thing. And they sent him to like see a psychiatrist, and they put him on medications and all of this shit, thinking that he was crying out for attention and that he needed mood stabilizers. And in actuality, his twin brother, was tormenting him his entire life. So one night I think it was the night of one of their birthday parties, 16th birthday party, something like that. They were having a party. Jackson snuck out to the pool house to hide out. His brother found him. They got into an argument, which led to a fight. Link tried to hit him with something, missed, and ended up falling and hitting his head. He then rolled into the pool. Clearly, he's still alive and sinking to the bottom of the pool. Jackson was terrified and could not jump in after him because he could not swim, because the one time that somebody tried to teach him to swim, Link held him underwater for so long that he almost drowned. So he's been terrified of water ever since, and he wouldn't allow anyone to teach him how to swim. So he couldn't jump in after him to get him out of the water. So he ran to get help. By the time he got help and came back, his brother was dead. Everyone in the family believes that he killed Link, or blames him for Link's death. So ever since then, he's been like essentially self-ostracized, or he feels ostracized, and he feels like the black sheep. Later on in life, he meets a woman. He falls in love. He thinks his life is getting better. On the day of their wedding, he finds her cheating with someone else. And then finds out that the entire thing was a scam to get money. So he's literally heartbroken. And it's at that point that he decides to leave Kentucky and never look back. So he tells Bianca all of this, and then he promptly passes out from all the booze that he drank at dinner. I liked Bianca as a character because she was very no nonsense. She was very bold and very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very very take charge, very, I don't know, loyal, very loyal. After Jackson passes out, she goes downstairs and has a talk with his parents and sets them straight on a lot of shit about his brother and about his ex-girlfriend, whom they thought that Jackson had just toyed with and then broken off the wedding. So they've treated him like shit this entire time, thinking that he was the one that dumped Clemmy, which is the bitch's name, for no apparent reason, and embarrassed the family. So Bianca goes down there and she sets them straight. She sets her record straight and basically tells them, you've treated your son like shit long enough. Do better. And I fucking loved that. I fucking love that about her. So Jackson wakes up the next morning and goes downstairs to meet his family, for his parents, for breakfast in the sunroom or whatever, the solarium, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And immediately he notices a difference in his parents' behavior. His father hugs him for the first time in ever. And his mother's very teary-eyed, and et cetera, et cetera. And they have a talk and basically break down the nitty-gritty of, we didn't know about any of this. We wish you would have told us that this had happened. And he's like, I was embarrassed. I didn't, like, you know, that kind of thing. And they're both parties are just like, there's so much time wasted that we could have been spending together. And all of that reconciliation is thanks to Bianca. And he knows that, and he recognizes that. And by this time, he's well and truly in love with her. So directly after this reconciliation with his parents, Bianca gets a phone call. And it's a call from one of the like sous chefs from her restaurant, who was very close to her mom. It was like her mom's friend. And she calls and she tells her that her mom has passed away. And her world just falls away from beneath her feet. And she breaks down. And Jackson literally picks her up, and from that point on carries her through getting back on the plane, getting on a flight, going home, seeing her mom, because the coroner left her mom, or they left her there in the house for whatever reason, I forget. But it was like long enough for her to see her before they came to take her away. And she goes in to see her, and she plans the funeral and goes to the funeral. And this whole time, Jackson is literally the rock by her side. But he knows that now her obligation and incentive to marry him is gone, because she was doing it for the money to save her mom. If her mom is dead, she's not going to marry him. And now he's in love with her, and what's going to happen. So he's very quiet and sedated during this time, this portion of the book. It's like a very sad portion of the book in general. So after the funeral and everything is done, he comes to her and he basically tears up the contract in front of her and tells her, you don't owe me anything. Your obligation to me is done. There's no reason to continue this farce that we've been playing. And she doesn't stop him. She's still in shock, basically, from the death of her mom. And so she's not in the right headspace to recognize that she's also in love with him. Him, on the other hand, he sees her lack of feeling towards him as being like apathy, like he sees it as she doesn't feel anything for me, because otherwise she would be showing me emotion right now. She'd tell me she cares for me. And because he doesn't see that from her, he just assumes that there's nothing on her side. So he tears up the contract and she lets him, and he walks out and she lets him. And then she goes back to her old life of puttering around the house, around her mom's house. And she goes into the restaurant and works. So she's talking to her mom's friend one night, and she gets hit with the revelation. She gets snapped out of whatever stupor she's been living in, and she comes to the revelation that she's in love with Jackson. She tries to call him. Rayford, who is like this comical side character, like a chauffeur type person, who, if Jackson was to consider anyone a friend, I think it would be this guy, who's also like a hired hand. He answers the phone, and he basically makes it appear as if Jackson is getting ready to marry someone else. And then she realizes, oh shit, his time limit is out. It's his birthday. He's going to lose his inheritance if he doesn't get married. I got to get over there. And so she gets in her car and she drives over there, and she busts into the house, and she's yelling and screeching, and she walks in to the drawing room or the study or whatever it is, and sees the woman sitting there and thinks that it's the woman in question that is getting ready to marry Jackson. And Jackson is like, why are you here? And she basically tells him, you're not marrying her. I'm in love with you. You're marrying me. And he's like, you're right, I'm not marrying her. She's my attorney. And it turns out that the woman in question is his lawyer, who's there drawing up papers for the new division of Boudreaux Bourbon distillery that is going to be built in New Orleans for him to run, because he's worked it out with his parents that he will run the division in New Orleans instead of the ultimatum they had previously given him, because now they feel guilty for all of the shit that they put him through. And so that the previous ultimatum no longer stands. They're not disinheriting him. But the fact that she's in love with him is now very interesting to him, and he'd like to hear more all about that. She looks at Rayford, and she's like, Rayford, you did this on purpose. You deliberately made me think he was marrying someone else just to get me over here. And he's just like, I have no idea what you're talking about. But she does profess her love for him, and he professes his love for her, and it's all very cute. And she tells the attorney to beat feet, like, get the fuck out. We're having a moment, which she does, and they have their moment, and the end. And it was very cute, and I liked it a lot. For the rating for the book, I would give it a solid 9. A solid 9 out of 10. I think I didn't expect, even though it says slow burn series, I did not expect it to be as slow burn as it was. And that is probably the only reason why I couldn't give it a higher rating than a 9. That should be my fault, but I'm making it JT's fault. So, yeah, I would give it a solid 9. If you like a good contemporary romance, if you like an enemies to lovers romance, this book is for you. If you don't mind slow burn, this book is for you. The actual story itself, obviously minus the sadness of her mom passing away, the story itself, the development of their relationship was chef's kiss. It was so fucking good. So good. I felt it in my chest, like in my sternum. Okay. So yeah, I would definitely recommend this book to other people. I would highly recommend this book. I think that's it. I thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, if you like me and you like my channel, please consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it. If you would like, you can follow me on social media. I do have a members only Facebook group, an Instagram, and a Twitter devoted to this channel. I will link them all in the description box below, and I will put a little banner here on the screen for you guys to see. And I think that's it. I thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Will it be a review? I don't know. What will it be a review of? I don't know that either. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Okay, thanks. Because I couldn't fucking stand that box anymore. I had to get rid of it. I'm sorry. My child is like running around like a demon. Up and down the hallway, 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 up and down the hallway. Okay. Anyway. Okay. Hi, let's do our intro, and then we'll get into it, because Candace, can you fucking focus for 5 minutes? No. No, I cannot. Okay. Let's do it. Here we go. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Never gonna turn around and hurt you. Naomi just died. Okay. I'm not okay. We are not okay. Jackson froze up because I can't remember if he couldn't swim or, you hear these fucking birds? Do you hear that? It's like a goddamn omen outside. Fucking bringers of doom much? Oh my god, okay. That's done. Done. Are we done? Are we done? Do. Okay. we've got to go back to the broken puppet because I gotta find out what the fuck happens. Gotta find out what the fuck happens with Madison and Bishop. Fucking Bishop. Alright, anyways. I love you guys so much. Oh my god, my mouth is so dry. Don't make that motion, Candace.